Alright, hello everyone, it is silverkyle, and I just finished watching the Nintendo Direct from today that was about Pokemon Sword and Shield. And I I am excited for this, however, I still have some mixed feelings. And honestly, I think back in January is when we first got shown this game, and I didn't remember anything from it. I knew it was the new Pokemon for Switch, and that it was a little bit different, and it seemed, from what I remember, a little bit more open than Pokemon Let's Go. But it wasn't to the extent that I wanted it. And now with this new trailer, they've shown a lot more. And at the beginning, I was still kind of like, they like sometimes they do zoom ins, and sometimes I still feel this way, that it still looks a little bit too GameCube-y, in the sense that it seems as though there's not a lot of detail. It's missing a lot of detail and could honestly pass off as like a 3DS game. I feel that if they would have really wanted to, they could have essentially made this game at, not HD on the 3DS, and they could have done it if they would have really worked on it. I mean, they would have had like a few setbacks here and there, and they would have had to compromise in certain areas. But I still feel that this could have been on the 3DS because we had like Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time on that system. So, and Majora's Mask, and just big games like that could totally do 3D environments. So to me, I still feel that Game Freak just really doesn't want to commit to making an actual console game, in the sense that I wanted Zelda Breath of the Wild Pokemon. But I still kind of got it, because at one point they kind of went into this open field, or a few times actually later on in the trailer, they went into these open fields and you saw tons of Pokemon everywhere, and then you saw your little dude, and then they confirmed that yes, you can move around your camera, so you can choose what the heck you're looking at, and you can essentially just go in this world and see all these different Pokemons living in their habitats, living in the forest, which is what I have wanted from Pokemon since, 98 or something like that. That's exactly what I wanted. It's still a little bit too cartoony, and that maybe they're going for that effect, but I think that if they went the route of Dragon Quest, which still looks cartoony, but realistic enough and detailed enough that you're like, oh man, it's still a cartoon world, and I think that that's what they want. They want still the kid audience, and I get that. I completely get that. I think with Dragon Quest, they nailed it. It looks detailed, but still cartoonish, and not, I wouldn't say childish, but cartoonish. And that would be freaking awesome. That is exactly what I want. Zelda Breath of the Wild still looks cartoonish, but it has a little bit more, that one has a little bit more of a mature theme to it, but I mean, it's still for kids at the same time. And I think that was done perfectly well, and that's what I wanted from this game. But seeing all those Pokemon, oh my god, that is what I wanted. And then something that made me even more excited afterwards is they said that you'll be able to go around and see different Pokemon in different areas, kind of living their lives, and each day is going to be a different Pokemon. Like every day is going to be something different. So there's going to be like, a bunch of different Pokemon, like 10 different Pokemon, and then the next day they're going to have like 12. I don't know what the actual numbers. I'm just saying there's gonna be 12 Pokemon, and they're all different or like 5 of them are from the ones that you saw the day before. Like you might see like a Rattata and a Pidgey, and the next day Rattata and Pidgey is still there, but now there's a Snorlax that wasn't there yesterday, or a Raichu, or something like that. I'm only going with the 150 Pokemon because that's the only ones that I actually remember. Mr. Mime, Jinx, and all that kind of stuff. Jigglypuff. Yeah. Anyway, that I loved. Having, because then it feels like a more real world, and that's what I've always wanted from Pokemon, is to feel that this is a real world, that I can go out there, catch Pokemon, and they're just living in the wild, and that it's not always the same thing over and over at the same place. That's why I was so happy with Pokemon Let's Go, that you actually got to see the Pokemon running around in the bushes, and it was like, this is exactly what I want. That was very much a 3DS game. So that has me freaking excited. I'm so amped for that. And then they did show a lot more of the actual game, like the characters running around. They talked a little bit about some of the characters that are going to be helping you out, and I thought that was kind of interesting too. And there's a few things, and I'm not 100% certain how I feel about this, because I think that they're just lying to us, They said there was a specific. They showed a few different Pokemon that are going to be in this new series, and they mentioned that one of the Pokemon, one of them looked like a giant crocodile, and like he was the last one I think that they showed, and he has a really strong bite. I think that was the one. He looked awesome, and they said he can only be mastered by true Pokemon masters or something like that. Like it's going to take a lot to catch him, and I feel that that's just a tagline, and you're going to catch him. And he's not going to be any different from any other Pokemon. Like you're not actually going to have to train him. And that's another thing that I've been wanting from the beginning, because I would watch the Pokemon anime series, and I'd be like, you know, he had to work with his relationship to get with Pikachu. For Pikachu to trust him, like Pikachu hated him forever. Imagine playing a Pokemon game where for the first, 5-10% of the game, you're with your main Pokemon, and it's Pikachu, for example. And if you get to, and he's always like kind of working with you, but kind of not. And it's not to the point that it's really detriment to you, but like once in a while, it could end up being that you lose a match here and there because he just won't listen to you. And you're like, God, you're just trying, and you have these little scenes where you have to try to interact with him to make you like him more. And you get to a point where all of a sudden you have to, there's a bunch of Spearows, just like in the TV show, and you have to take a bike and get the hell out of there to save Pikachu, right? And then Pikachu, because Pikachu's too injured, and you're saving him. And then Pikachu realizes this in the game, and jumps out and attacks all the Spearow. How much more would you love that specific Pikachu? He has now an identity. He has a character. He is more to you than just a regular Pokemon that you've been battling with since the beginning, which you still form a bond with. But now you actually have a game character that you're forming a bond with because he saved you in the storyline. I want that so much. And I feel that when they said that you're going to have to master this, like only Pokemon Masters can truly use him, whatever this Pokemon was that looks like a crocodile, I didn't remember what his name was. He didn't look like a crocodile. He was massive. But anyway, when they said that, I was like, please, let this be more than just regular catching him, and he's still going to listen. You don't have to do anything extra. I want there to be more. I want there to be more depth, and that's what I want from Pokemon. I'm happy with open fields, controlling the camera, changing Pokemon every day. That's freaking awesome. Now just give me some storyline and reasons for me to care about my Pokemon. That is what I want. And then having the 6 that you have, just throw in a few cutscenes here and there, and times where you can actually interact with the Pokemon. And depending on what you do, if you treat your Pokemon like crap, they're not going to listen to you. That's how it should have been since the beginning, or maybe a few, the second or third generation, maybe. That if you don't treat them right, they're not going to listen to you. But then if you treat them well and have things that you can go do and hang out with your Pokemon and be like, okay, I'm just going to pet you now. Like, imagine at the end of the game you have to get a hotel or set up your tent at the end of the day to save or something like that, like you do in RPGs. And you get a scene where you're at the campfire, and it's like you have the choice that you can go pet your Pokemon and kind of nuzzle with them. And I don't know, just treat them like an actual pet, essentially. That would be awesome. Hug your Pokemon. I want to hug I want to hug Snorlax. My mother has always said that like Snorlax is one of her favorites. She wanted a Pikachu and a Snorlax, and they would hang out in the backyard. Anyway, I want that, and I've always wanted that. Imagine hugging a gigantic Snorlax. That'd be so much fun, and then he actually cares that you're hugging him. I don't know. That'd be cool to me. So that was freaking awesome. For the changing stuff, I don't know how it's actually going to be with that Pokemon. I don't know if it's actually going to matter about like we're going to have to actually train our Pokemon other than them just leveling them up. I hope there's more to it. Then they showed raids, I think, where you have 4 Pokemon. You go into these big raids, and four Pokemon trainers online, I'm assuming. I think that's what they were saying, that you can go online and get together with 3 other people and attack these gigantic Pokemon. And then you can also turn your Pokemon by pressing this thing on your sleeve, which then gives you a gigantic Pokeball, and you throw it behind you, and then your Pokemon is now huge. The raid I like. I like the idea of going into raids. That's kind of freaking awesome, honestly. If they turn that into if we get a little bit of like an MMO kind of Pokemon game, I'm all for that. But I don't like the idea of just gigantic Pokemon for the sake of gigantic Pokemon. I don't want us to be able to do that. I really do not like the idea of having a gigantic Raichu battling, because Raichu is not that big. That doesn't make any sense. What I think would have been much better is to have certain Pokemon being like legendary status, like a red Gyarados that shows up, and that's a boss because he's like special. So we're gonna have to go take that one down. There's a specific cave that we're gonna have to go to, and we're gonna have to take them together. And the Gyarados is just gonna be so powerful that he's gonna be hard to take down. Having specific Pokemon that are extremely powerful, and you have to be 4 people to take them down, makes sense. And that I don't want one of our Pokemon turning gigantic. At the moment, I don't want it. Maybe when I'm actually playing it, maybe I'll be like, oh yeah, I so want my Bulbasaur to be massive and just destroying him. That'd be or Blastoise. Snorlax, a gigantic Snorlax. Okay, maybe I'm down with this. The gigantic Snorlax would be cool. But anyway, so I don't know how I feel about the gigantic Pokemon. That doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me. Didn't really like that. But then, what else did they show? They showed some gym leaders and stuff like that. The other thing, too, is that they were battling a gym leader, and it was like in this gigantic auditorium, or like a tournament almost. And I was like, that's not what I want from a gym leader. I'm okay with having a tournament, but a gym leader should be in a gym with, like, nobody watching. Me versus that person, and maybe, like, the other people that I had to beat before. Like, a handful of people. I don't want an audience. That's for tournaments. Or if I was going for the Elite Four or something like that, then, because it's the end of the game, then you can have, like, a big tournament. Like, I got all these 8 badges. Bring it on. I'm going for the last few people here. The elite of the Pokemon world. So, that's everything I can remember. Oh, and then they also showed the 2, I guess, main legendaries for this series. The one that I can't remember their names, but the 2 dogs that one of them has a sword, one of them has a shield. They showed the one with the shield, so it was a dog basically, and his mane is essentially a shield. He looked pretty cool. Then they showed the one with the sword, and he's holding a sword in his mouth, and he's like attacking like this with it. That's so stupid. That is, and then he kind of let go at one point, so he was like, oh, it's still hanging out there. It looks so dumb. It looks so awkward. He lives with a sword in his mouth his entire life. That is so stupid. God, that was dumb. I was like, what is this? That's so... Why did they make... that was dumb. I'm so getting the shield version. Oh, that's horrible. That left a really bad taste in my mouth when I saw that. God, it looked dumb. Other than that, I'm pretty pumped for this game. So, negatives just real quick. Obviously, the sword Pokemon, that is absolutely atrocious. Hinting that, we're going to have to do more in this game about training our Pokemon, but we might not actually, and it just might have been them saying that, like, because everybody's going to be a Pokemon master if they can just get the guy and they don't actually have to do anything special. But we're not confirmed. It's not that. That's just me thinking that you don't actually have to do anything to master these Pokemon. The fact that it hasn't really upgraded yet to full Breath of the Wild or Dragon Quest, I want it to be at that level at some point. And the big Pokemon, I don't really like that. The positives, the raids are freaking awesome. The the shield Pokemon, he looked pretty cool. Like not amazing, but I liked him a lot more than the sword one. The raids, did I say okay? So I don't know what I said. Raids are freaking awesome. The shield guy and being on the field, that is such a huge positive, and also that it's changing Pokemon. That's freaking awesome. So let me know in the comments below what you think of the new Pokemon Sword and Shield. If you're excited, I definitely am, but I still think they could have gone a little bit farther. That's all I'm saying. But I'm still super pumped. Like this is we're getting closer to what I've always wanted from Pokemon. Thank you all for watching. You've been bearded in. Beardage.